Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're getting a chance to sit down with Matt McDonald from Bora BJJ out in Hamilton, Ontario. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast streams. If you're looking for all the new guest episodes, technique breakdowns, and our breakdowns on different techniques, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have tons of new content coming out every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Rock Mississauga. Rock Mississauga offers the ultimate car care services, including interior detailing, ceramic pro, window tint and paint protection, rust protection, trailer hitches, and wiring. Steve and his crew have been in business for 20 years, and they've been serving Mississauga. Head over to 6707 Winston Churchill Boulevard, Unit Number 5, and they're going to be able to help you out. Or go to rockmississauga.ca on Instagram and in Facebook. They're going to be able to make sure you get your car protected before the wintertime, or if you're going to get it cleaned for the spring when the winter's finally over. Rock Mississauga is going to be able to help you guys out. We're also sponsored by SpiritLeaf Waterdown, located at 64 Hamilton Street North in Waterdown, Ontario. If you're looking for Canada's top cannabis brand, look no further than Alex and his crew. They're going to be able to help you out with all the different THC, CBD products of anything that you need. You need it, you go get it. They're going to be able to help you out. Just make sure you mention the podcast, and guess what? You're going to save money every single time you shop there. Thanks everybody for listening and watching the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. We really do appreciate it. Enjoy the show, and we'll see you soon on the mat. Okay. All right. Let's get rolling. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us back on the Soaking Hazards podcast. Today we are sitting down with Matt McDonald of Bora BJJ. Matthew, how you doing? Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Why didn't you go with Boa Jiu-Jitsu Academy? Because that was real fit. How did you come up with the name Bora?
So we're a fan of short 4-letter words, and not get your head out of the gutter. But no, we basically just Googled 4-letter Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sayings, and Bora was one that kind of stood out, and we thought it would look good with the logo that Kyle drew up, and I believe it translates to let's go or something like that. So it just seemed like a cool name. There's not too much depth there.
What did George think of the name when you came up with it?
I don't know. I never asked him. He hasn't said anything bad about it, but
He's like, oh man, this name sucks.
Yeah, he secretly did. I'm not too sure.
So especially because you kind of started, when did you actually found Bora BJJ? Because it was just kind of recent, and it was more or less than 2-3 years ago, correct?
Yeah, so we I think we just filed our taxes for year 3. So so we are paying our taxes, which is good. But
if anybody's listening to this right now.
Yeah, we pay taxes.
We pay taxes.
Yeah. No, so we started in 2018, I think, for about a year and a half, and then this thing called COVID-19 hit, and we closed down initially for 2 weeks, and we've recently reopened. So, yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, obviously, with a lot of different businesses, you had all these different types of new jiu-jitsu schools open up, have to reclose, do all these different things to kind of keep their businesses going. Was there anything kind of unique that you were able to kind of do to make sure that you were keeping students engaged, or just kind of riding the wave and just kind of hoping things would get better?
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of gyms did some pretty cool stuff, doing online virtual classes and stuff. Truthfully, we never got into that. But yeah, we just tried to stay engaged with our students. Whenever there was a lift in the restrictions, we would open up right away. We would just contact them. Kyle would reach out to the kids, make sure they're doing good. I know we closed grading for the kids, so that kind of stuff. So things like that, not easy, but we just waited.
What were things that you guys did there anything that you've like learned like during COVID or business wise, what you wanted to implement? I know it's been a lot of time, you know, at home doing a whole lot of nothing. Like, is there, you know, things that you've learned or things that you've learned like surviving, you know, just as a business owner in this process? Like, take us through some of that.
Yeah, for sure. So I honestly think I forget who told me this, but it was something I learned back from the competition days for jiu-jitsu, where you know, we kind of have this knack to we compare to others, and maybe somebody's like much better than us right now. But I'm making no sense right now.
I don't even know what the hell I'm just.
Yeah, I just started rambling. But what I was trying to say is just head down, do what you can, make the best of the situation. Just because things aren't great right now, if you can just kind of keep your head above water, there is an ebb and flow to everything. So when things do open up and when you can start bringing in students, like hopefully things go well. That's or what I'm not gonna lie, it was an interesting year and a half.
You know, and a half. You know, a lot of people got medical and like law degrees all in a year and a half. Like other people,
you can do a lot in a year and a half.
You can do a lot with a year and a half. Like you can become, you know, a medical degree. That I think that you took it more like in positive, like, hey, you know what, it's a really shitty situation, but at the end of the day, I'm going to control what I can control, and you know, do what's best for me, like me and my business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I mean, I didn't get a law degree or anything, but you know, I tried to figure out ways that we could maybe run our business a little smoother. You know, make sure everything's like in order, accounting, clean the gym. You know, but I guess you can only do that so many times.
For sure. So how did you go from like the transition of obviously like being like a student and then obviously getting to the point like you wanted to open up your own club, and here you are now today as a club owner and obviously as a professor teaching a bunch of different students?
It was pretty gradual. Like it wasn't I mean, I didn't really get into jiu-jitsu expecting to want to teach. Like I just did it because I loved it and I enjoyed training. But you know, like most people, like as you kind of go through the ranks, you start teaching classes or helping out with kids, or you know, just being around the business, being around the culture, and then eventually met up with Kyle. We worked at the same gym together, and then you know, one day we just decided that this is something that we wanted to do, and it was a scary decision at first, but I don't regret it.
How did you actually initially like get into jiu-jitsu? Because like you were like, when did you officially start? Like, did you play any like sports before? Like, what's kind of like your like athletic background for those who don't know you?
Golf actually. Golf was my sport before jiu-jitsu.
Oh shit, that's like Aaron's like favorite sport. I think he's like a 4 handicap maybe.
Oh, fuck
no.
Nice. I wish. Nice. Fuck.
Aaron's ball breaking
clubs.
Aaron's ball spends more time in the sand than David Hasselhoff.
Oh, that's a good line.
It's a Happy Gilmore reference.
Yeah, terrible sport. No, it was a lot of fun, but I started golfing, and one of the instructors at the course, like we would always talk about UFC, and then one day he's like, you know, I do this, right? And I had no idea he was a blue belt at the time. And then he brought me to like his gym that he was trying to open up at the time, and basically just beat the crap out of me for an hour. And I guess I wasn't okay with that, so I came back and just kept training.
That's usually how it goes. It's like you go, maybe they don't know your mentality, bro. You just see red, and then you get beat up, and then the other two things happen. Like you decide, oh, I'm just gonna run away and never do this again, or you're like, oh, I got my ass kicked. This is actually kind of fun. I should actually learn how to do this. This is cool. That's kind of how like I started too. It's very similar. Just like at university, people were talking about UFC. They're like, why don't you join this thing? And rest is history.
Yeah. The first day was not great.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, especially like how like the UFC is kind of like the main transition period for a lot of people, where they either hear about it through conversation or they've actually seen UFC 1 or 2, and then they're all of a sudden they're like, jiu-jitsu seems like a great thing to try, and they try it out, and then they get smashed the first day, and either your ego gets in the way and you're like, I got to go back to figure it out, or you just kind of like, I never went to that class, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of like being part of like getting into that jiu-jitsu scene, like were you ever interested in getting into MMA or kind of exploring it otherwise, or just kind of just jiu-jitsu was what you wanted to do?
Initially I thought maybe, maybe I'll try MMA or see if striking's what I like. But turns out I don't like to get hit. So I gave that up pretty quick. And yeah, just fell in love with jiu-jitsu. It was awesome. I could do it pretty much every single day and not get like overly injured or hurt or whatnot. And yeah, just got obsessed and tried to get better. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
How'd you get into like competing as well? Is that you've always been competitive? Like, were you playing like, playing on Augusta, and one day you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna transition to jiu-jitsu? Have you always been competitive? Like, how did you get into like competing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I am a very competitive person. I would do golf tournaments beforehand, and then just through competing in like the golf scene and whatnot, I would kind of it's a rush, right? Like it's the same for competing in jiu-jitsu. Once you do it once and you kind of get that bug, like once you know what it feels like, you want to try and find it in other avenues. So I think when I left golf and then I got into jiu-jitsu, I needed some sort of competitive outlet, and jiu-jitsu seemed like the right one.
So okay. One of Aaron's favorite questions is that he likes to ask, people that go out and compete a lot. It's like, so what's your mindset, man? What's your mindset, bro? What do you think about when you're going out to compete?
It's definitely changed over the years. Like I think when I first got into competing, it was definitely way different than it is now. But before I would get like super nervous. I'd be like super terrified. I thought I was going to lose every match. I had a terrible mindset. I'd be like, like what's you guys remember Chael Sonnen was a coach on The Ultimate Fighter?
Yes.
Yeah, he had one line in that season that like really resonated with me because it's exactly what would go through my head. He's like, everyone says quitting's not an option. He's like, but that's actually like bullshit. It's actually the first option. And like,
he's not wrong. I think we've honestly, like between me and Aaron and you, I think we were all just like, well, I've been at tournaments, so I'm just like, man, why the fuck am I here? Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
why am I doing this? I could be at home.
Exactly. Yeah, or like, you start to get you start to come up with excuses and whatnot. Like I don't know if I should be admitting this, but sometimes I'd go into matches and be thinking like, all right, what am I going to tell people when I lose? Like, what's my excuse? Like, what am I going to...
My back, my ankle.
Yeah, bad back.
I broke my back. My back is broken.
Yeah, so like it wasn't like, I guess, easy to figure out the mindset for competing. Maybe I still don't have it figured out. I'm not sure. But yeah, just now it's just kind of, I've got 10 minutes or whatever the time limit is, and as soon as they say go, I'm gonna go. And if you can hang, you can hang, or maybe you smash me and I lose real quick or whatnot. But I'm ready to go.
I've been trying to convince Aaron to do this for the last few months. So Aaron's saying he's retired. This is his new thing.
Retired.
Even though we have students that are older than him that look at him like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm older than you and I'm competing in jiu-jitsu. Why are you retired? But I digress. Mm-hmm. I am trying to convince him to come back. Masters Worlds, Masters 3 division. Him versus Sanjay Hubero. How do you see that going down?
I'll be perfectly honest, and this is not a slight. I've never seen you roll, Aaron.
And that's fair. So that's completely fair.
So I think with that being said, Aaron will have a lot of tape on Shanji. So, you could maybe catch him by surprise.
Well, Matt, I do appreciate the awesome, kind words that you've just given me. That's like awesome. It's great. I am not doing that to myself.
Yes, you are.
But you know what stresses me out more than anything is like, especially when we had to like my division, I was always making weight, right? So I'd always decide, okay, I'm going to make this weight. And then every time it'd be like, why am I trying to kill myself trying to make this weight? Why can't I just eat more and just go to the next division? But then if I go to the next division, I'm always the smallest guy in that division. I get smashed. So I'm always at this like crossroad. And I'm like, what do I do? But,
cut the weight.
Yeah, I know. You cut the weight. You
just cut the weight. Yeah.
It's always good because then you have a goal and you're like, okay, I'm going to just work towards a goal. The one thing I just don't like about like IBJJF tournaments is just it's always that weigh in 10 minutes or a half hour before. That's the one thing that bugs the shit out of me. I get it's the most like best way to get people on weight at the same time, but it's just it's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably not the best at cutting weight. Don't take it from someone that spent half their jiu-jitsu career competing at ultra heavyweight, but yeah, like in my experience, I think cutting the weight is a good thing. It keeps you accountable. It keeps you disciplined.
100%. I would agree with you there.
Yeah, it takes your nerves off of the competition, so you're not really like, at least in my experience, like I'm not stressing about the matches I'm gonna have. I'm just stressing about, am I gonna make weight or what can I eat before the weigh-in?
What can I eat before? Please don't throw me on my head, Sanji.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what Aaron will be thinking. Masters Worlds 2022. It's happening.
Yeah. Well, you can do
All
that
right,
first,
luck,
Mike. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Trust me. Mike, worry about yourself.
I'll take Rafael Lovato. You got Sanji. It's all good. We'll our first tag team jiu-jitsu match. It also might be the first death in tag team jiu-jitsu history with it'll be an open casket at me and Aaron's funeral. changing topics a bit. Want to ask you about like just we're talking about Sanji, Rafael Lovato, joking around a bit, but like what are like some people that you watch like coming up like through the ranks as well, or who are some people that you currently watch now and you're like, man, their jiu-jitsu is really sick. I gotta steal that.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't watch jiu-jitsu anymore. Or like very little. I'm trying to force myself to get back to it and like, study and watch who the up and coming guys are. But like kind of a cop out is Gordon Ryan. Like I think his jiu-jitsu is incredible. He does everything well. So like I like to watch his matches because you can learn a lot. Obviously he's no-gi, so that makes it a little more specified, but like Kainan Duarte is awesome to watch. Like I think he's got really sick jiu-jitsu in the gi. But like coming up, it was mostly Rodolfo Vieira and Rafael Mendez. I know he's a little bit lighter, but like in my opinion, he's the GOAT. Like he was the best one at that weight class, and he just had such really nice jiu-jitsu to try and emulate.
Yeah, no, like you mentioned a couple of really good names that have amazing jiu-jitsu. They're skilled in everything that they do. And I think it's like, and like you said, like trying to get in touch with all the different competitions that are happening nowadays. It's hard, right? It's like so much content that you have to kind of like produce and kind of like consume to kind of really build off that. So like, it's kind of hard. Like, where do you see like all these different, whether it's shows or whether it's gi tournaments or no gi tournaments, like, where do you kind of see the trend heading? Do you think it's more of a no-gi thing? Do you think a gi can get back to where it could be?
I'm not too sure. I think that the gi will always be synonymous with Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I don't think that that'll ever change. But I definitely do see a big shift in no-gi. To give you an example, like before we shut down, I would struggle to get guys out to the no-gi class. Like it was hard we had no-gi once or twice a week, and it'd be hard to get bodies on the mat. But since we've been back, like it's been I think more people come to no gi than gi. Maybe that's not true, but it's definitely a lot closer, like 50-50.
Mm-hmm. What do
Like
you
I
think
see
that
a lot of
is?
people. I think it's probably like the whole Gordon Ryan, Danaher Death Squad. Like you hear Joe Rogan talking about him, and anything
Mhm.
that guy says is people are going to listen to. So I think just more of the showcase matches are typically no gi,
Yeah.
and so it's more exciting to watch when it's that. Like it's like I'll enjoy watching Worlds or Pan Ams or whatnot, but you know, for the common spectator, like watching 10 hours of jujitsu on 6 different mats, just, you know, it's kind of hard to keep up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think no gi is probably a gi. I think like gi tournaments are a lot more. There's a lot more intricate things to watch versus like no gi. I think it's a lot easier to understand. Like, oh, he took that guy down versus like, oh, he
For
has
sure.
this grip with that. So I think like the average spectator can pick it up a lot easier. It's like, oh, he took him down. Oh, he has a leg lock. Okay, cool, done.
Mm-hmm.
Versus I think gi, like you almost have to do it and feel it to really understand it and kind of like respect what's kind of going on. That makes sense.
Yeah, of course, I'd agree with that.
And I think like tournament wise, like I think like going forward, I think you'll see a lot. I think there's already been like a big shift, like gi to no gi. Does that mean like you're gonna like for your school, for example, are you gonna have more classes, more no gi classes? Like how do you see things kind of going forward? And like what is your class structure going to be like, especially, you know, like with kids, adults, things going forward?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I'll just be perfectly honest. I have no idea. We've definitely added in some more no gi, but like predominantly we teach gi classes. We obviously have the kids program. We don't have a no gi for kids yet. Not too sure if that'll be a thing, but I mean, if the demand's there, we're definitely open to it, and we just kind of see what our members like, or what like we try and track our classes each month and see what's getting the most attendance, and kind of what time slot seems to work the best. So, you know, we're always trying to give the people what they want, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like when you kind of take that shift from like competing and obviously like teaching students, and are you kind of like more of a competitive school, or are you just kind of like an all, you know, all ages, all kind of building off the school?
I definitely don't force competition on our students. Like it's not something that like I don't demand that everybody do a tournament, or like if you want to get your next belt, you have to compete. Like everyone's there for something different. We have some competitors, we have some hobbyists, like, and I don't say hobbyist as a slight. We have some people that can come every single day, some people that can only come once or twice a week. So, you know, it's kind of unfair if I force people to compete. But kind of my approach is just we teach jujitsu, we train hard, we spar every class. And if you want to compete, then I'm there with you. Like I'll try and do my best to give you whatever advice you need, and be there to coach. But it's not something that I force.
No.
What's kind of your, 'cause I've heard of like some schools that will be like, in order for individuals to go to that next level, they got to compete at least once. Like, I don't know if that's predominant in a lot of schools, but I've heard that in certain schools. What's your kind of opinion on that? Do you feel like a student can't progress forward unless they go on a competition floor? Because like my kind of opinion on it is like, as long as they're learning the skills, I don't see why you can't move that individual if they're not comfortable competing. But I don't know, some people might have a different opinion about that.
For sure. No, I would definitely lean to more what you just said, but you know, I also, as a gym owner, I understand that like everybody does things differently. Like every gym has a different culture, every gym has a different kind of structure. Some gyms are more formal, some are more informal. So it's like I wouldn't do it that way, but I also wouldn't like, I wouldn't talk bad about somebody who ran their school that way. I think, I'm sure as long as you have a reason for what you're doing and you can articulate why you have that, I'm fine with it, I guess. But doesn't really matter if I'm fine with it. Like,
Well, as long as it's like,
as long as you're students.
Yeah, as long as you're at that level, it's not just like, hey, you're gonna stay there another year because, like, hey, like, you know, the check hasn't cleared yet for the next belt, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or, I think there's ways of doing it. Like, I think you need to have like, hey, like, there's some sort of standard or that you're trying to keep like per belt and everything. But you know what? Like, everybody does gradings differently. Like, I know Frost the Hobby had like a clip out a while ago about like, oh, like people who are just grading based on attendance, like. You know, that I think there needs to be a lot more to it than that. Like, for example, but like what do you look for like when you're about to grade somebody or move somebody up belt wise, like from blue to purple to brown, for example? Like, what do you have like a curriculum or something that you follow, or is it like hey, I think this person's just intuitively like this person's ready for like the next step?
I mean, we definitely follow a curriculum, or we have like we have like our fundamental program, and then we have our advanced classes. So pretty much everyone does the fundamentals, and we kind of rotate a curriculum in that. If you show up to classes, you're gonna get a taste of it, and like eventually you'll have kind of hit all the techniques that I guess I require or I expect people to know. But I also keep in mind that like everyone's on their own timeline, right? So if one person's very genetically gifted, athletic, they pick moves up quick.
Oh, thank you. You know,
yeah.
6'5", 275. That's actually what I weigh now, 275. Twisted steel and sex appeal.
Dude, that's terrifying. I'm not fighting you again.
6'5", 275. Twisted steel and sex. This is a triple XL, by the way.
Nice. Looks tight.
Looks tight. Thick, solid, tight. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. What was I saying? But yeah, the timeline thing. I think that everyone kind of progresses at their own pace, and maybe I'm fortunate that we have a smaller club to where I can kind of keep track of where everyone's at, and I train with the students pretty much every single class, so I get a gauge myself of where they're at. But it wouldn't be fair of me to hold everyone to like a set standard, because some people aren't capable of getting there, or they're not going to get there for a very long time. And I think that could be kind of discouraging if I say you have to wait 4 years to get your blue belt, and meanwhile you've been training the same amount as everyone else, and you show up and you try your best. Like, so I try and keep that in mind when I'm promoting people.
No, I think that's very, like, again, that's a great way to look at it, right? Like, you're keeping track of like how your students are progressing, and you're moving them forward appropriately, rather than to a fixed schedule on whatever it might be.
Yeah, it'd be different if I wasn't there every day. Like, if I wasn't able to teach classes, it'd be hard for me to keep track of like, how do I promote people. But I mean, right now I'm fortunate that I can be there pretty much every single day, and if I'm not there, I'm able to talk to the coaches that do run the class. So that's something I try and stay on top of. But yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I answered your question, or if I just kind of beat around the bush a bunch.
No worries. I think it comes down to, intuitively, like, it's a combination of you're seeing somebody in class. Intuitively, you may know, like, okay, like, this person's ready. I'm rolling with them. I feel like they know certain things, that they're ready for like the next level kind of thing. I think it's kind of like all of the above. I think it touches on a little bit of everything.
Yeah, like, for example, we have a new white belt that he's trained for 6 months, and he already gives me like really hard rounds, and I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, this guy should be like a blue or a purple belt if you're just going based off of like how he rolls with guys in the gym. But you know, it's maybe not too fair for me to just be like, here's your blue, like, you tap everyone out.
What is that? Is like Nicky Rod showing up to your gym now?
Yeah, I can't confirm or deny.
I can't confirm or deny. I think I've used that line several times. Have you been training during the pandemic? I cannot confirm or deny if I have been training in someone's basement or not. I cannot confirm or deny that Aaron is hiding something behind that bookshelf. It's a real bookshelf, I tell you.
Yeah, the blank wall of nothing. That's all it is. But no, like what you kind of mentioned too is like, especially nowadays, the like kids teaching and whether they're participating in wrestling or like judo or all these different types of sports. Plus, they have so much more access to all different types of content, whether it's through BJJ Fanatics or just YouTube, free content that's out there. And that they're just they train in their basements, and if they have time, that's all they do, and they can just get ahead way faster than probably we did as we progressed through the ranks.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's no shortage on information out there. It's pretty incredible. Like if you wanna learn De La Hiva, you have endless amount of videos out there. Like you can literally learn from the best person in the world in that given position within like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to learn the position in 5 minutes, but like you can find
you get the idea.
Yeah.
I wish you could just download it like that, but unfortunately, it's not the case.
Hey, Elon Musk is working on that, I think.
Elon Musk. Zoom is recording this right now. Facebook is watching us. Skynet is downloading everything right now.
Yes.
I want to ask you about one of your favorite students. Why is he such a big creonch? His name is Tim. He writes into the show. Please stop messaging us, Tim. No, I'm just kidding. We love you, Tim. Why is he such a dirty creonch? Is my first question. I see him at like 30 gyms a week. I don't know how that's physically possible. He somehow manages to do it though. Why is he such a traitor?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't phrase it that way, but no, man, he's like, I love having Tim out. He helps us out with the kids class. Man, that guy lives and breathes jujitsu, and it's actually kind of refreshing because it's like, you know, like he's like so into it. Like he's always training. He's always got questions. Like I jokingly call him. Do you guys remember Nardwar?
Nardwar? He just kind of looks like Nardwar.
Well, I wasn't going on appearance, but like like that guy knows everything. He will be able to tell me about like how this gym started, who started it, like who they trained with, and his knowledge for like Ontario Jiu-Jitsu is I would put it up against anybody.
Tim's a really good guy, and I always love seeing like he's posting on Oshawa BJJ, or he's at your place, or he's at like Toronto BJJ. Like he's all over the place. It's amazing that he actually has the time to go everywhere.
I feel like
it's all positivity too. Like it's
it's all positive, right?
Yeah.
I think he might be a sleeper cell on the DL. Now you're mentioning he knows everything about everyone and everything. I've rolled with him. He's probably downloaded what I do now.
Probably.
I'm actually genuinely scared about the future.
No, but you know what? Yeah, we have to give Tim credit because like he's been probably like one of the first kind of like supporters of the podcast too, and he's been always pushing.
One of our first 3 fans. It was incredible.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, so you can't say a bad thing about him from like, and obviously you have like actual in-person experience with him. We have him.
Unfortunately, just as a fan, right? In-person experience. I'm just kidding. Honestly, like Tim, we love you. Keep supporting us. I'm being a smart ass. If you don't know that already from 75 plus podcasts and Aaron pulling the remainder of his hair out over the years, knowing me, then I don't know. Do you really know me at this point?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ramble, but you actually have a question, so
you can ramble. This is why we're here. We're here to ramble.
So, all right. I look at it this way, right? When you look at like Flow, all the different tournaments that they kind of run, do you almost look at it as like there's too much, kind of like UFC's pushing out, there's too many fighters to keep track, or is it just a right amount, or we don't have enough? What's your kind of opinion on that?
I try and see, again, I'm going to be a politician and play like both sides of the fence, but like I try and see both points because for me, maybe it seems like it's too much. Like I'll be perfectly honest. Like I'm probably not going to be too interested to watch like an event that's primarily like blue and purple belts and like people I've never heard of. But that being said, if you're coming up in jiu-jitsu and you want to gauge kind of where you're at compared to the other like blue and purple belts, like you can watch that, right? Not too sure where I was going with that, but yeah, like I don't know, like it's sure, maybe I might think that there's too much, but that's for me. But like maybe some of the events won't draw me in, but then other ones will. So is that really too many? Or I think more is better than less, right? I'd rather have too many tournaments and be able to pick and choose what I watch as opposed to want more content out there and not have it.
I think there's so much content. Like there was an EUG event that was like a $10,000 like winner take all kind of thing, and 10 years ago you wouldn't like $10,000 for a tournament is insane.
Crazy. Still to this day I've never been paid for a jiu-jitsu tournament, so
it's still never been paid.
Yeah,
I've been paid to ref. That is about it. That has been my workaround to
that counts.
Being at a jiu-jitsu event and getting paid to do jiu-jitsu. So that's really the indirect way, I guess, of doing it. But like having like prize money and all like that wasn't really a thing 10 years ago, maybe outside of like ADCC. But now there's a lot more events that are popping up that people are getting paid with, and you know what, I support that. Anything that's gonna help push the sport and grow it and get it to a new level, I'm all for that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
sure. Now, kind of staying on that same topic, like, I want to get Matt's opinion on this. Do you think it's possible where in Ontario, or let's just say Ontario for now, we're going to have those opportunities where guys are going to get together and actually put on promotions that possibly could be like paid based promotions? Or is it kind of like there's still too many cooks in the kitchen, whether being with OJA, all these other different organizations, or things we'll never get there?
I don't think I'm the guy to ask on that. Like, I think
it's just your opinion.
Yeah, like I think you'd have to ask somebody from the OJA. Like, but I'm not too sure. I mean, I know Rory was doing the Parabellum Quintet, and he ran a couple of those, and they were great. Like, it'd be really cool to see if somebody could do that again, whether it be like that style or if it's a gi event like that. Like, I thought that those were really cool. They sold out fast. Really good production value. Like, I went as a spectator for one, and I competed in two, and like just really well run. Like I really enjoyed those. So if somebody could put those on, that's a really cool idea to grow the sport.
Maybe we should steal that idea, Aaron. What do you think?
Possible. We'll talk through some of our contacts. We'll see what happens.
We'll talk to our accountant.
Yeah, exactly.
Our lawyer, our doctor, our accountant. They got all of those. It's all
Insurance.
The same person. All three of those degrees the last year and a half. I get all my advice from them. I live the dream. But yeah, I think you're right though. I really enjoyed. I think I was a part of one of those events. I refed one of them. I think I spectated another one. So I think they're very good. I think it's a very
they were great.
Yeah, they're great, and I think like gi and no gi, I think it would work well both events. I think it would work both ways. So hopefully somebody brings that back. But probably could be the Choking Hazard crew. Just saying, might be a possibility. We'll see, but I think it'll be a nice addition to getting some kind of like professional looking events like in Ontario, getting those going. Like tournaments are just starting to get going again, but I think it's good to have these events on where you can get some top tier talent in, and hopefully they can make a few dollars.
Of course, yeah. Like I really enjoyed that event. I know OJA's put on some. I forget what they were called, but they did like a super fight style.
They did. It was a Canadian Sub X. That's like Tony
Sub X. Yeah, that was it. That was a cool event too.
Yeah,
that was a lot of. I was a part of one of them. That was really awesome. Like I really enjoy those types of events, like as a competitor and as a spectator. So
yeah, I think it helps to like, I think a tournament is great for development and like working on your skills and all that in like a more competitive area. But I think like these events will actually help to elevate, I think in the long term, make jiu-jitsu more of like a bigger deal and like make it more spectator sport friendly versus going to a tournament and there's 14 mats and you don't know what the hell to watch. Because I remember even sitting at like with the Worlds and there's 10, 12 mats and there's like world champions fighting everywhere. It's like I don't even know how to break this down right now. It's like sensory overload.
Yeah, too much.
It's like too much. So also wrapping things up this evening, we want to have some fun. Like I always like to ask a couple of my really random questions that Aaron likes to point them. So we're gonna play a kill, fuck, marry. It's between 3 cities. You have to kill one, you have to F one, and you have to marry one. So first one is where you're from, Hamilton. First one where I'm from is Brampton, and where Aaron's from, Etobicoke. Go. Kill, F, marry.
I mean, I kind of like Hamilton, so I guess I'd have to marry it.
If you like it so much, why don't you marry it?
Yeah. Wait, between Brampton and Etobicoke, which one has better food?
Ooh, that's a good question. Depending on what you're feeling.
Depends on what. Yeah, like
there's a large in Brampton. I'll say this to be culturally appropriate, so I don't get canceled. There's a large East Indian population and West Indian population. So if that's what you're into, and
yeah,
style of cuisine,
some butter chicken, some lamb korma or something like that.
Yeah, so tandoori chicken. There's a lot of good vegetarian options as well. And then Toronto, Etobicoke, it's like you name it.
No, well, Etobicoke, we have a lot of like European culture, like Italians, Polish, Ukraine, especially in that neighborhood. So it's kind of all over the place.
All right, we'll kill Brampton then.
We'll kill Brampton.
Yeah.
like a 20th person to kill Brampton on this.
I'm sorry, man.
I think the official tally is like deaths of Brampton. Kill Brampton 22. I don't know. I haven't counted, but it's probably been killed more than any other city.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's Brampton though. That's how it is.
I think we'll end off on this as well. Is you're from you've grown up in Hamilton your whole life, right? Or have you lived anywhere else?
Pretty much, yeah. Like Hamilton, Burlington area.
It's Hamilton, Burlington area. So like I think Hamilton personally gets a bit of a bad rap at times. But like with all that said, what are some of the craziest things or stories that you've heard about Hamilton, or things that have happened in Hamilton?
Things that have happened in Hamilton. What can I say on this podcast?
You can say whatever your heart desires.
All right, well, let's just say I don't live in a great neighborhood. So I came home after teaching one night, and there, I've seen I don't know what the politically correct term is, but ladies of the evening. I may have seen one slash somebody's tire. And yeah, so that was pretty exciting, I guess.
Did they not get paid? Did they say why? I mean, like if you're gonna slash
no clue.
You probably have like a legitimate reason.
Yeah, I thought about asking, but I figured I should probably.
Excuse me, this.
Yeah.
Why are you slashing that tire? I'm just curious.
Yeah. No, there's not too much. Like it's like any sort of. It's kind of like a smaller Toronto, I guess, or. Like you've got some nice areas, you got some bad areas. Like, yeah, I wish I had some more exciting stuff for you guys. But that's pretty much it.
More exciting stuff. It's all good. Do you live like in that Barton Street area, or was it somewhere else?
Exactly. Yeah, Barton Street.
You're on Barton Street. Oh boy.
Yeah, represent
Barton Street.
Well, I always look at like if you get your tires slashed, especially like all 4, you must have done something bad. Or you piss somebody off hardcore, because nobody just slashes. You can slash one tire. Okay. It's kind of like a go and get in there and get out. 4 tires, that takes time, and that's passion.
Yeah. Let me clarify. It was one tire. It was the rear passenger side.
Oh, that's at least a safe one. Like you do the front one. The front one is like, okay, you're trying to kill somebody. Like,
yeah. No, it was pretty wild.
Pretty wild. Shout out to Barton Street.
Yeah. Represent.
Well, Matt, it's been awesome having you on the podcast. I do appreciate you coming on this evening. Is there anybody you want to thank, or people you want to shout out, whether it's sponsors or different students before we take off?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Yeah, I apologize if I didn't answer your questions directly or if whatnot, but no, I'd just like to thank my students, everyone that supports us and continues to train with us. And if you're in the Hamilton area and you want to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, check out Bora BJJ.
Awesome. All right. So everybody remember that's Bora BJJ. They're in Hamilton. What street are you on?
Green Hill Avenue, 625 Green Hill.
625 Greenville Avenue. And that's actually right near SpiritLeaf Waterdown, located at Aaron.
64 Hamilton Street North in Waterdown, Ontario.
All the CBD.
Okay, what's that?
That's our SpiritLeaf Waterdown, which is one of our sponsors. So we have to make sure we sponsor.
We have to make, and to make sure we don't get demonetized, they they have the finest of the devil's lettuce, if you know what I'm saying. So I have heard. It is very green in there. They have a very nice green room with a lot of CBD and THC, C3PO, R2D2, all everything that you need. Every letter initial that you can think of, they got it. The crew there is tremendous. Alex and his team are fantastic, and they know their stuff, and it's always 420 there. 64 Hamilton Street North. Maybe you should check them out, and or maybe some of the people that are on Barton Street, maybe they can get chill out a bit, maybe string themselves out on something else. You know what I'm saying?
It'd probably be a better alternative.
I think it would be a much better alternative.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, Matt, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Hope to see you at whether it being a tournament or up at the school soon.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too, man.
Appreciate it, man.